All right, good to go.
1 second. We are live.
And we are live. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Really excited to have you here. My name is Nick Radmer. I am an Assistant Director of Admission here at Northwestern, and I am also currently a grad student at Northwestern, earning my master's in higher education, admin, and policy. I'm joined this afternoon by two excellent colleagues in health professions advising, as well as three great students, and I'd love to just kick us off by having everyone introduce themselves. I'll start with the staff members. If you could just share your name, your role, how long you've been with the university, and then we'll move over to the students.
Awesome. I'll go first. My name is Felicia O'Rourke. I've been at Northwestern since 2016, working in our health professions advising office, predominantly serving and advising students who want to go into the health professions, and I work on a few different programmatic initiatives, which we'll talk about as well. So I'll turn it over to my colleague, Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nancy Tapko, and I've been with Health Professions Advising for more than 15 years now. It's just a wonderful office to work with and wonderful students and alums to work with as well. And yeah, Nick, did I cover all the ones we were supposed to do?
Yes, sounds great. I'll turn it now over to the students. If you wouldn't mind sharing your name, your major, perhaps your hometown, and if you could just share really, really briefly, maybe something that made you choose Northwestern. So I'll start with Greta.
Yeah, okay. Hi, my name is Greta. I am, oh my gosh, a rising fourth year. That's scary. And my majors are actually dual degree, biology in Weinberg and voice performance in Benin. My hometown is Columbia, Missouri. And I chose Northwestern for, a million reasons. It was the perfect school for me, but it was very much like a best of both worlds thing. And I think the proximity to Chicago especially is like unmatched. So that's me.
Awesome. I'll go to Beza.
Hi everybody, my name is Beza. I am a rising junior, major in cognitive science and global health, and obviously on the pre-med track like every other one. One thing that made me choose Northwestern is the resource they have to offer for their students. I was like very overwhelmed with a lot of resources they have offered me till now, and so much more I can use. And I really enjoyed that because as a person who comes for like first gen, I really wanted to get all these resources.
Awesome. And finally, Andre.
Hey everyone, my name's Andre Pang. So I'm a theater major and I'm pre-dental, so that's really cool. My home school is the School of Communications, as it says in my name, and I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'll be a sophomore next year.
Awesome. Great. So just a couple quick housekeeping notes before we dive in. I'm also joined on the call this afternoon by my colleague, Alyssa Colton. She is going to be handling some of the behind the scenes stuff on this call. And one of those is that if you in the audience have any questions, we do have a Q&A feature, I believe, in YouTube Live. So if you, as we're having our discussion this afternoon, have any questions, feel free to pop a question right in that chat. Melissa will be monitoring that. And then if there's anything that she can answer super quick or with a quick link, she'll be sending those your way. But we'll also be picking out a few questions that we think the whole group would benefit from hearing and addressing. So we're going to spend just a little while talking about some of the opportunities available in health professions advising, learning a little bit about the student experience, and then we'll absolutely save some time at the end for some of those questions as well. So that's what the afternoon will look like. But without further ado, I'd love to just dive right in, and I'd love to start, I suppose, with Felicia. If you just wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about what health professions really looks like at Northwestern, what are some of those opportunities like, and perhaps a little bit more about how students actually arrive at your office and how that process begins.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite thing to do is talk about our office. Well, health professions advising at Northwestern, I think, is a pretty unique office compared to other schools. We have 5 dedicated health professions advisors, and what we do is we support anyone interested in any pre-health profession in any way that you can possibly think about. So whether you're pre-med, pre-dental, public health has been on the rise, genetic counseling, any of these things, we serve you all. What our relationship looks like, it's a one-on-one relationship. So you'll come in, you can get assigned to us if you fill out a quick intake form, which many of you can do the summer leading up to when you start here. You'll get assigned to us. So we will be your advisor until you don't need us anymore or you don't want us anymore. So what's also pretty unique about our office is you start with us and you're with us all the way through your alumni years. So it's pretty common in your health profession to take a gap year or two before you enter into that program. And right now, I know most of the meetings Nancy and I are having are with alumni because we're in the thick of an application cycle right now. So I think it's a pretty awesome, unique relationship. We get to talk to you as prospective students, and we get to talk to you when you're 2 years into your career, which is pretty cool. So our conversations are all across the board. So we'll talk about prerequisite course planning, how to gain experiences, how to get opportunities. As Beza talked about, there's so many resources at Northwestern, so making sense of all of the resources and where to go and the opportunities that do exist. So all of those conversations. We also help explore health professions. We know that things change and adjust and shift around, and that's okay. So we are with you to kind of help guide you through whatever that pathway and that journey looks like. Nancy's going to talk more about the different programs that we have, but we support you in all kinds of ways through application, personally, like I said, courses, and making sure that you're feeling supported throughout your courses as well. The types of students that we support, as you saw in the introduction, all across the board. So pre-health at Northwestern, a little different than maybe some other schools you're hearing about. There isn't one set pre-med track, pre-dental track. You really get to major, minor, and whatever you want to. And what's nice about the prerequisite courses is they tend to fit really well in any degree. Of course, proactive planning is always great, and we help you with that. But we work with you to just shape what your experience, what you want it to look like. And you can really go towards your interest in your major and still work towards those prerequisites and that you need in any given health profession. We have over 60 different majors from all different schools. So you truly can do whatever one you're really thinking fits you best. I'm going to stop because I can keep going. And the point of this is not to hear from me the entire time. So I'm going to turn it over to Nancy to just talk a little bit more about our programs.
Thank you, Felicia. And part of that exploration that Felicia just was talking about is really building out a network of people to help support you, and also for people for you to learn from. And so we're really fortunate to have 3 very strong connection programs that we have started in our office with our amazing programs down at Feinberg School of Medicine. So we have connection programs where if you're pre-med, we can connect you with a medical student at Feinberg. And we launch these every year. So you can have a different medical student connection every single year that you're here. We also have added too, because we have an amazing physician assistant program, physician assistant connections program. And then this year we launched our Doctor of Physical Therapy program. So it's always nice to kind of see who's at the next step and to understand the experience of a health profession student. What did they do to really make sure that this was the right career field for them? And it's just, again, about expanding the network of people to help you. And then what we hope in turn is that you will help people who come in after you as well. Beyond that, another way that we help students explore the field, especially in terms of medicine, is that we have a shadowing program through Northwestern Medicine that we try to have available every single quarter outside of the summer quarters. We also have a speaker series of promoting diversity in the health professions because we think that is so important, and we want you all to understand the needs of the health professions that you're heading into. Beyond that, we have medical school applicant support programs. So we offer a little bit more dedicated time and more drop-in session availability when in the midst of the application process. I'm going to go back to Felicia. Did I miss any programs that we should be talking about?
I don't think so. Those are the heavy hitters. So nice job.
But yeah, Nick, I think we should listen to the students now.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much. And I would love now to sort of turn to the students, and I'll pose it to all 3 of you. Anyone can jump in. If you just wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about, what brought you into the health advising sphere, and what that your experience has really looked like in terms of working with this office so far in your Northwestern journey.
I don't know if it's a raising hand system or what we got going on, but
yeah.
I'll share. So when I came into Northwestern, I was a dedicated theater major. I wasn't really like officially pre-dental. I wasn't a double degree with like biology or something like that. So I was really anxious and worried, and I was uncertain of like, oh my God, can I even handle general chemistry? Like what's going on? So I came in with a lot of stress. And the moment that I met with Felicia, she immediately helped me like lower that anxiety level by going through the plan of or our potential plan of what I can take, what classes I can take and how I can spread out the stress. And because like as students, we tend to hear a lot of things, share a lot of information that maybe is anxiety ridden or not super accurate. So being able to speak with Felicia or Nancy one-on-one whenever they're available is really, really helpful to like bring down the anxiety, because that tends to run high in certain people like myself. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. So me personally, just because I'm pursuing a dual degree, for a variety of reasons, it made more sense for me to try and attain both degrees in 4 years, as opposed to what the typical track is for dual degree, it's 5. And so that meant there had to be a lot of schedule Tetris in order to achieve the pre-med track and the biology degree requirements alongside the BNN voice performance requirements. And so I made friends with the Health Professions Advising Office very early on because I knew I would need to. And they are just so completely like irreplaceable, huge load off, like Andre was saying, just they really figure your life out for you. And you know, if you know you're going to be taking on all this extra coursework, it is so nice to be able to defer the planning part of it to the people who are there to do that for you. And you can just focus completely on studying and learning because that's what you're in school to do.
Same thing for me. I came in knowing I want to go on the pre-med track, but I have no idea what I was doing because I have nobody to talk to about. So like I always Felicia as my advisor or like make schedule whenever I need to. Like they help you make like a 4-year plan, which made me feel better, much more better about myself because I'm like, okay, I can see what I need to do. If I don't take a gap year, I see when I need to start studying for MCAT or my application. If I am going to take a gap year, I see where I would need to start doing all this. And like it does like help you overcome your anxiety. Like sometimes I be like, I'm doubting myself, like, am I even fit to be pre-med student? And I'll talk to Felicia, she's like, no, you're fit to do it. It's okay. Like it's a normal thing. So like they will basically like tell you like you're a human being. It's okay to feel all these things and you can do it. And they're always there to help you out.
Excellent. I kind of want to continue talking about this a bit more. Beza, you brought this up, and then so did Andre. We know that you know, and dealing with anxiety and the stresses of being in a pre-med program can be not insignificant at the college level. So I'm hoping any of the students, but Felicia and Nancy, feel free to chime in as well. If you could just share a little bit more about some of the resources and some of the different ways specifically that Northwestern and this office kind of works to help students through that, help them manage their time, how to take time for themselves, things like that. And anyone can chime in.
So Northwestern's on the quarter system, which means, at least for me, that the things that I was seeing online were confusing compared to what I was seeing in the like registration. For example, people would say like, you need 1 year of biology, and or sorry, maybe better example is you need 1 year of chemistry. And the way that I took chemistry it was a 2-quarter sequence, which is like 2/3 of the academic year at Northwestern. So I was like, do I have to like do a third? Like, do I have to take some high level course? And that was really confusing because every website I looked at, like the ADA or whatever it's called, they were like 1 year of this, 1 year of that, 1 year of everything. And I'm like, does the semester to quarter thing work out? Like, how does that work? And being able to talk to Felicia, who's like been through that with other students and actually like, as far as I'm concerned, communicated with schools about going over the like what material is covered in each class and whether that checks enough boxes and how you can fill the requirements with our quarter system, the way that it works versus other schools being on the semester system, being able to have that question, a very specific Northwestern question, answered very easily was really, really good at de-stressing.
I guess for me, one important thing that Northwestern have like the MAPS program, which is like the Minor Association of Pre-Med Students. I'm part of that, and like they've been a huge help. Starting with like giving you a mentor, like bigs and littles. You meet with them, you get like food and discuss, and they help you out. To like having like this events where you go to Feinberg, the medical school in Chicago, where like explore Feinberg and talk to like med school students and even the admission officers, and like because of the MAPS program, I was able to learn more about the medical field and the process, and like I felt like I know what I'm doing better than like other people, because I came a freshman year and everybody that I knew was like already doing research, already doing shadowing. I was like, I don't know how you guys started that. I don't know where you even begin that. So like the MAPS program really helped out. So that's like one of my favorite programs they have on campus.
This only a little bit links into what Andre was saying about quarter system, but me personally, I had not experienced a quarter system like curriculum style until coming to Northwestern. And so the pacing was super different for me, and it took a little bit of getting used to. But for a lot of like, especially the entry level or like the 100 level core bio, chem, orgo, physics sequences, there's drop-in tutoring like twice a week, every week, which has been like invaluable to me. You're with your peers, so you don't have to feel weird about like a power imbalance. They provide snacks, which is super nice. And they really like have all the patience in the world, and they'll go over things and answer questions as you have them. I feel like they've helped a lot. If you know you're going to struggle with a class, as you register for it, you can also sign up for peer guided study groups. And those are for credit, and you just attend weekly, and your group will like go over a problem set. And I personally have not attended a peer guided study group, but I've heard amazing things from them. And I just know from the drop-in peer tutoring that like that whole department is really killing it. And so if you anticipate having trouble, whether beforehand or while you're like taking the class, there's a lot of ways for you to get help from your peers and other people as well.
Yeah, and just to echo what Greta was talking about, that's the peer tutoring and also the peer guided study groups are all under our academic support and learning advancement office, and they are wonderful. And they also have advisors in the office that if you just want to meet one-to-one and talk about your study strategies or your study skills, or can you help increase in different areas, they're there for you as well. So we are constantly talking with our advisees about using academic support and learning advancement. And we pretty much think everyone should be using them. So that's just, it's just sort of like, just be ready to take advantage of that wonderful office, because they help in all these different areas so much.
The only thing I would add, because you brought up stress, Nick, is I just have to mention our counseling and psychological services office that has a variety of different programs, drop-in, let's chat programs, things like that. They've been working really hard to hire various different counselors as well that support individuals in their unique identities, which I think is really important too. So that office does an incredible job. Nancy and Greta both touched on this, that academic support and learning advancement. College, and any college you go to, it's going to be more independent learning than high school was. So these resources are so important. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It means you're being strategic about how you can be the most successful here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone. I want to start turning to some of the questions that we're getting in the chat feature. And one of the ones that came up was about how this office supports students who are conducting undergraduate research on campus. So I don't know if any of the students on the call have any research experience, but Felicia or Nancy can certainly chime in as well on what that might look like and anything that might be unique to Northwestern.
I can definitely start. So again, so many resources to take advantage of, but we have an entire office called Office of Undergraduate Research that has its own set of dedicated advisors that you all can meet with one-on-one to just even understand research. Their big kind of shtick or tagline is you don't have to come to them with project ideas and knowing how to conduct research. You just got to come to them with an interest and like a thought, and they're going to help craft that into what research could look like. This office has a variety of different programs. So I don't even feel like the most competent in going over each of them, but typically what I'm doing with students in my meetings is showing them where the Office of Undergraduate Research is, how you can sign up for a finding a lab workshop, a finding a faculty workshop, showing them the different summer research grants that they have or the different labs that you can work in. So there is another office that can come, like we work really closely with, that works with you to really craft that research. And I'll let anyone else jump in here as well.
And just to echo again, yes, we love Office of Undergraduate Research. And we just also want to remind people in the health professions, all types of research that experience will be very much valued. So if you want to be in a lab, great. If you actually have an interest in public health research or something that's more clinical based, that's also great too. So when we host our different health professions programs, we will ask them, is there any particular type of research that you want to see or you must have? And their answer is like, we want you to be engaged in scholarly endeavors and do things that you're most interested in. So please follow your interests, and we'll be here to support that, as well as all our other great offices too.
I might be stretching the definition of scholarly research, but I actually applied for a summer undergraduate research grant this summer. And it wasn't for anything that's medical or dental related, so I'll keep it really short. But I applied to do a theater project, which was like writing a musical or writing some songs from a musical. And I was able to meet with the advisors there. I think the person who I met with was named Peter Savetta. I think they're like one of the leaders of the place. But it was so helpful. Like he was so helpful, took me step by step, helped me flesh out my idea. Like I didn't have a really solid idea until I started to talk with him, and then we went over, is it a poetry project, is it a theater project, is it a music project, is it somewhere in between? They're just so knowledgeable. They know exactly what you have to write, how you have to write it, and the help is there. So I think it's a great resource, and you can apply again and again in subsequent years. So you could do like theater research, which is kind of crazy, or like clinical research or something like that. Yeah.
Awesome, great. I kind of want to just springboard off of that into one of the other questions that we've gotten about the experience of applying for a pre-med program if you're choosing a major that lies outside of STEM. And I know Andre and Greta both have majors that are more humanities and performing arts based. So I'd love to, I guess, just start with the two of you. If you could share a little bit more about your own experiences as someone specifically, you know, who's pursuing a pre-med track and a pre-med program concurrently with something more rooted in arts and humanities.
Yeah, I'll start. Basically, when I referenced best of both worlds in terms of what brought me to Northwestern, a big part of that was the dual degree program, because I knew I didn't want to stop studying music and just enjoying art. But I also knew that I wanted to be academically challenged, and I'm not saying at all that being in is not academically challenging, but you know, just more the STEMmy side of things. And it has been really, really nice to be able to strike the balance of those two. It's really, you know, I'm doing what I love, whatever I do, which is super nice. And each field of study serves as kind of like a break from the other, which is really nice as well. So you really, you know, you can kind of do it all. And you know, 4 years dual degree plus pre-med stuff is not the easiest thing in the world. It does take a certain amount of, you know, planning and time management, but it's doable. I'm here, I'm alive. I'm even smiling today. So like, you know, it's Northwestern really makes it manageable, fun even. And yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can enjoy everything about Northwestern and still be pre-med.
I realize my Wi-Fi is cutting out, so I'm sorry if I'm like in and out. But so when I applied to Northwestern, I was just a theater major. So I didn't have any attachment, any formal application as a prudential person or a health-oriented person. I wrote my Why Northwestern essay purely about the theater program. And I was still accepted as a pre-med student, which I think just speaks to the fact that, as far as I'm concerned, it's very, very welcoming. It's not like you can make it, you can't make it. Ooh, you didn't get this grade, tough luck. I think the office welcomes people with open arms. I didn't like. I got my health advisor like halfway through fall quarter, where many people who are bio majors get it like early in the summer or something. So it's like an open door policy, which I think is really nice. And then going to like the class side of it, it's really nice. I'm not gonna lie, because like I love my theater classes, but sometimes just a little bit too much of that. And I'm like, yeah. But then on the other side is like I wouldn't want to only be doing lab work or STEM things or reading a textbook all day. So like Greta said, one is a nice break from the other. And they kind of, although they seem very different, they can be very fulfilling in separate ways. Yeah. But you do have to manage your time and use your resources well in order to manage both of them.
As a former theater major myself, some of what you're saying definitely does resonate, Andre. I've noticed there's a question in the chat, and I'll pose this, I guess, first to Felicia and Nancy, actually, asking about combined bachelor's and MD programs. And I know that the HPME program that Northwestern had is something that we've transitioned away from, but I know that we do have something called NUPSP, Northwestern, I hope I got the acronym right, Pre-Medical Scholars Program. So I'm hoping if either of you could just share a little bit more about what that looks like and how that might diverge from a traditional combined BA-MD program.
I can take that. Yeah, with the HPME, the combined MD, BA, MD program is no longer, but what the NUPS program is, or sometimes they call it NUPS, is an early assurance program to Northwestern, and it's only open to Northwestern undergrad. I'm sorry, it's early assurance to Northwestern School of Medicine, the Feinberg School. It's our juniors apply for it in the end of their fall quarter. And they would still graduate on time. They'd still go through their senior year, but it's just a way that people can apply if they feel that Northwestern Feinberg School of Medicine is their absolute number one choice. And they are doing everything that the Feinberg School likes to see in an applicant. So there is a high GPA requirement for application. They would like to have extensive years of clinical experience, meaning exposure to the world of medicine, volunteering, research. But it is an opportunity for students, if they know that the Feinberg School of Medicine is their number one choice, they could apply to it as early as the end of fall quarter in their junior year. The interviews happen in January and early February, and they should know by the end of February, start of March of their junior year, if they are accepted to go on to Feinberg School of Medicine. They get about 50 or more applications every year, and they accept typically 10 to 15 students. So it is a very competitive program. And it also doesn't bear any, if someone wants to try for it and then apply to Northwestern later in a regular application process, that's allowed as well. Felicia, did I miss anything on that?
No, I think it's great. The only thing I would add is just to highlight some of the support that we give around applicants through this. So we provide feedback reviews on your application, on your personal statement. We'll do mock interviews with you. So same way we would support you through the kind of standard application process, we would do the same thing through this NU NUPS or NUPSP program as well.
Excellent. So another question that's been posed is just asking a little bit more about like the classroom environment itself in these pre-med classes. So things like general bio, chemistry, physics, things like that. I'm wondering if the students can share a little bit more about the actual classroom experiences. Are classrooms particularly big? Relationships with professors, things like that. So I know it's very open-ended, but if anyone wants to chime in there.
I guess I can start it off. So usually like the general classes tend to be big, like Gen Chem and like Intro to Bio, mainly because like there are other majors that require those classes, so they want to open up for other majors who wants to be in it more than the pre-meds. And eventually, as you go like specific, as in like genetics, biology, or organic chemistry, they tend to be smaller. And one thing I recommend is, because these classes are big, you might not be able to make this one-on-one connect with the professor. So like going to their office hour constantly will help them out a lot. Like they will know you, that you're going to their class. Maybe if you get lucky, especially if you sit in the front, they might recognize you. But like if you sit in the back, they might not know who you are. But if you constantly show your face on the office hours, you don't even need to have a question. Our professors always say you don't need to have a question, just show up, just like sit there and like listen what other students have to ask. All that kind of stuff will help you out. And eventually, if you make these deep connection when you writing your application, they might be able to write a letter rec for you, which is like something important that you need for med school. And so like, don't be intimidated when it comes to like the big classrooms. Just talk to professors, introduce yourself. What I did is, for every single pre-med class, what I did is I went to office hours and said, "Hi, my name is Beza. I am this year studying this and this and this. And what is one thing that you recommend for me to succeed in your class?" And I have asked this question for every single pre-med professor that I had. So like, I really recommend to do that.
I'm gonna swing it more towards fellow students. I know, because I'm a tour guide also, and a question I tend to get a lot is about the nature of students, especially in pre-med, if it's collaborative or competitive. And far and away, I can say it's collaborative. Never once have I met like an indecent person in any of my pre-med classes. Everyone is like ready to study together. I've never been turned down an invite to study together. I've never myself turned down an invite to study together. We're always like, helping each other out, pulling for like, let's do extra credit, stuff like that. And Andre was saying some people can like talk like, "Oh my gosh, organic chemistry is so hard," and like that can like make you scared. But that doesn't mean they're like trying to scare you, because people just say things. But the people, like your peers in these classes, really do have like everyone's best interests at heart, in my experience. So it's pretty good, I think.
Yeah. So I came from a small private school, which I like every teacher knew every kid by name. Like that was how it happened. And I came into my general chemistry class and I was like, whoa, this is different. Like I'm sitting 3 levels up from the teacher and they're like way down there. I can barely hear them. They're talking to a lav mic like this. But if you want to have that like interpersonal experience, you can get to know the teachers. I actually got to know a lot of my teachers by name. And that was a really, really good experience for me, because some people thrive in like getting to ask questions. Other people thrive watching them on a screen. Like I think that there is that ability to cater towards what you want. And then also to talk about the TAs, lots of the bigger classes have TAs or teaching assistants. And I've actually gone to those people a lot. Like, I want to thank my TA from general chemistry for saving me in winter quarter, because they're so helpful. And if you find somebody who you resonate with, whether it's a fellow student, the teacher themselves. Oh, sorry, I cut out. If you find someone you resonate with, whether it's the student, a teacher, a TA, then you can make a connection with them and they can really help you through the course. And it can become like this, it can go from a daunting, like one person in a big room to like, hey, I know that person, or let me sit with them, or let me ask them a question. It becomes more personal and more safe that way. Like a safe feeling that way.
Excellent. I'd love to move to another question in the chat, which the question itself is a little specific, but I kind of want to zoom out from it a bit. I'm hoping folks can chime in a bit more about how Northwestern's advising offices helps and supports students who are interested in pursuing perhaps study abroad opportunities or other opportunities like that off campus. I know that in many cases, some of these majors can have very particular curricula that are structured or segmented in a particular way. So wondering how Northwestern supports those students so that they can still have those experiences while graduating on time and meeting major requirements, things like that.
I'm definitely happy to jump in on that one. So, we, as a couple of you mentioned, one of the things that we do in our office is we help you kind of think about your 4-year plan and what that looks like. So we try to be really proactive with all of our planning. So you all will take some STEM sequenced classes, but as long as you are proactive in planning said STEM sequence classes, then you can very much put study abroad into that plan. So often we'll sit and we'll work with you, be like, okay, when are we going to move physics? Maybe we'll start that in the spring. We'll take a break from it in the fall. We'll pick it back up in the winter, and you're going to go abroad in the fall. So there's different ways to do it. Predominantly, I think I see individuals go abroad over the summer and the fall terms, just because we are a quarter system and that winter spring doesn't tend to align too well. But there's lots of opportunities. Many of my students have gone abroad and fitted into their program. So yeah, I'll let anyone else jump in on that as well. Also, I thought of something else. We have an entire office called GLOW, the Global Learning Office, dedicated advisors for study abroad. So we often will say, here's how you meet with them. And they can talk to you about all the different programs, the ones that maybe have a little bit more of a focus in a clinical setting or things like that. So another office, again, lots of advisors to sort through, but we're all here to help.
Great. So I want to kind of circle back a ways to a point that Nancy brought up earlier, which was that one of the things that this office does is really try to foster dialogue and put people into conversation about diversity in the medical sphere and in different careers related to the medical world. So I'm hoping anyone, again, can sort of chime in on a little bit, just expanding on what that really looks like at Northwestern in the advising space, in the classroom, among the student body, how that kind of environment is really fostered on campus.
So the program that we run, sorry, Andre, the program that we run is promoting diversity in the health professions. And every quarter, we work to bring in various speakers from various different health professions from all kinds of different identities, predominantly ones that are underrepresented in medicine. So in the fall, we had a conversation on the overturning of Roe versus Wade and how that's impacted medical education. The one that we have upcoming this fall is going to be called hashtag Black Lives Matters, Where Are We Now? So just understanding where has racial equity and progress, where has it actually gotten better since that kind of awakening of 2020. So those are the conversations we try to have, and we're bringing in various individuals in those different health fields who are doing the work so that we are making sure that all of you are up to date on what's happening in the field around these different areas. So that's the program that we do. I think generally Northwestern does support dialogue across lines of difference. So I'll let anyone else jump in as well.
I was gonna speak to the clubs. So there's this one club that I actually haven't joined yet, but I really hope to join at some time. I just been too busy. It's called like the Chinatown Health Initiative. And like my thing like with medicine is like I want to try and treat people in their native language and like reach communities that aren't super accessible from normal healthcare, which includes like Spanish speaking communities and people who speak Chinese. So Chinatown Health Initiative is a really great resource for that. So I imagine they had like I know they visit Chinatown and they have community outreach opportunities, and a lot of the people who are in the club are of Asian American descent. So that's adding diversity into the field. And then also like for shadowing, you can like this is aside from Northwestern, but there is an opportunity to shadow with certain doctors who like model your same background or are of a certain demographic or who are like making strides in this one area of the field. And you get support from like the office on how to find people to shadow and all that stuff. So that's another option as well.
Excellent. So another thing that I wanted to touch on is a little bit more about how the advising experience here at Northwestern kind of continues beyond just those 4 years of undergrad. And I think my understanding is that there are definitely opportunities for advising to continue as alumni, as well as for alumni to sort of be brought back to continue that kind of advising relationship for undergrads. So I'm wondering if anyone can kind of speak to what that looks like here at Northwestern and how alumni are kind of brought into the conversation.
Well, and one of the big reasons that we do not only advise current students, but also alums of Northwestern is that nationally, more and more people are taking gap or bridge years. So they're not going straight into their health profession program. They might be exploring a work setting or just wanting more time to really ensure that this is the right fit for them. So we have this past application cycle to medical school, more than 85% of our application pool had a gap or bridge year experience. So part of that is that students are still in an application process even after they graduate. And in terms of bringing them in, there isn't anything really very different. They can go to our website, they can request an appointment. We do a lot of appointments over Zoom with people who are not on campus, but if they're on campus or close to Evanston, we also have in-person appointments. So that's a way that we just want to encourage people. Sometimes there's this pressure, especially for first years coming in like, oh, I have to do it on a particular timeline or I can't do it at all. And we want to remind people it's like your timeline is your timeline and you should choose the timeline that fits best for you and that gives you the time that you need to be most prepared for this really big life decision. And so we're just there to help support that and to remind people there isn't just one perfect timeline. This is really a marathon type process. And for different people, they'll have different timelines to kind of work that through.
So in my experience, personally, Felicia and I have already talked about how I'm definitely taking a break after my undergraduate years. And, we were able she has this whole like template that she screen shared with me. And she was like, okay, quarter by quarter, if you're taking gap here, 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 then you would start applying here, here, here. And then this would be the acceptance quarter. And like, it was just so nice to have that mapped out and, kind of know what to expect, how I would maybe want to structure my gap year or years, use my time in order to improve my application and also just like be a person. I really appreciate that the HPA, the Health Professions Advising Office, really emphasizes your being a person first, because you're going to be a human doctor, not a robot doctor. And so, I really appreciate how they like give you space. And even like, I think that speaks to the alumni servicing part of it, is that like, it's your timeline because you have your life. And so, whatever point, regardless of whatever point in your life that you choose to like pursue a profession in health, they are there for you and they're going to support you regardless. And so it's really comforting. Thanks, guys.
Great. And there is one other question too, on the subject of pursuing interdisciplinary majors and potentially dual degree programs. A couple of folks are actually asking about the feasibility of pursuing some of these programs alongside things like engineering. And just curious if anyone could weigh in maybe on what that might look like, if there are any particular considerations, given the some of the heavier course load in those majors in those schools. So if anyone would like to chime in there.
Can definitely chime in from a planning standpoint. So appreciate that whoever asked that question brought up engineering. So all the schools structure their requirements a little bit differently. Engineering has the highest amount of requirements when compared to School of Com and Weinberg. So, but we also our second, I think, largest major is biomedical engineering. So we have a ton of engineers who are pursuing like a pre-health, pre-med, whatever it might be, pathway. What's nice about engineering is a lot of the degree requirements within there do fit already pretty well with some of the degree requirements and prerequisites that you need for a given health professions program. The ones that don't fit in there, there's still space within that degree where it can fit in that degree requirement. So again, a lot of it's proactive planning and making sure you're meeting with us, meeting with your McCormick advisor, understanding what those degree requirements look like, and just seeing how it can fit in. So as long as you got that plan from the beginning, you will be able to do an engineering degree and a pre-health path.
Great. Now, I do want to ask, there's another question that I wanted to save for a little bit later in the conversation. I think it's hopefully a really good illustration of a lot of the things that we've been talking about so far. And I'd love to pose it to the students. If you could just share a really unique or memorable experience that you've actually had at Northwestern because of some of these resources, or just maybe as a part of these programs, whether in the classroom or off campus, anything like that, some kind of memorable experience or opportunity to share. I'll give you a second to ponder, and then anybody can jump in.
I guess for me, the most memorable thing I can remember is the NU Docs program. I did it last spring quarter, or this time, sophomore year spring break. And it was so memorable because it's like a week long event at Feinberg. You commute to Feinberg every single day. You get to talk to doctors. Basically, you pretend to be an M1 student technically, and you get to talk to different physicians. You get to talk to like medical students, residents, and like give presentation. And they're not just talking about the medical field. They talked about their life stories. And like, this is embarrassing to say, but like, there's some of the lecture actually made me tear up hearing about it. Like, cause I see myself in there, like, oh, I struggled, and like, I didn't think I believed in myself, but like, here I am being like a 7th year, like, surgeon, intern, like resident, all that kind of stuff. And like, it was very inspirational. And the one thing they said, like, is like this program, you can decide not to be a physician, or if you can decide if you want to be a physician, it is for everybody. So like there's students who are like, okay, maybe PA might be the program for me. So don't feel pressured if you apply to that program. Don't feel pressured to be like, you want to be like a physician going in there. Just have to explore it. And we do like a lot of like clinical things. We get to play with the things that the residents use to like enhance their skills. And we looked at the classrooms, and had the opportunity to shadow the doctors, basically rank, and you get to shadow them. And then they gave you the contacts of like every single physician that presented, every single med student you talk to, every single resident. And I use their resource a lot. I've been emailing them. I've scheduled shadowing with the other physicians that I talked to. So that was the most memorable thing. And I felt like that program just solidified my wanting to go to the medical field more, because I was doubting myself before that program.
Andre or Greta, anything stand out?
That is a hard thing to follow. I will say that right now. My thing seems very small, but I still appreciated it. It was my chemistry teacher, Brian Hunter, I love you, taking me and a bunch of other students out to food. We are college students. We are not eating out a whole lot. We are tired of the dining halls. It is winter. It is chilly. And he treats us for food. And that really was nice. And the opportunity to like walk over to the restaurant with him and chat about stuff that's not electron orbitals. Rather, he talked about how he also did theater, and him being able to provide some kind words, a little bit of like, just like getting to know your professor in this massive, massive class, and the generosity of him to pay for our food as well. That was a nice little moment I had.
This is kind of like crazy personal. But while we're on the topic of extremely kind chemistry professors, I took the general chemistry sequence over the summer after my freshman year. That is an undertaking. It is the whole year, 3 quarters in 9 weeks. So it's 3-week quarters essentially. Yeah, Yeah. So, and it was online because my freshman year was COVID. So everything basically was online. So I did that from home, and like same summer in the like fake third quarter of Gen Chem sequence I was taking, my childhood dog passed away. And that was really tough. And his health had been declining the whole summer. And so it was just like a boatload of stress on me pretty much. And my professor at the time, Frederick Northrup, as well as the lab professors, and they team taught, so I can't remember who exactly I was talking to at that time, but both of them were in constant communication with me. And at one point, during a week, we had like 4-hour daily lectures. And I had to miss like half of it one day just because I was like inconsolable. And I emailed the professor afterwards and I was like, listen, Prof. Northrup, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't focus for like the last half of lecture. And he emailed me back straight away and he was like, what's going on? Like, what do you need from me? And I was like, if we could just like meet up again, that would be great. I know you don't have office hours today. And he emailed me back and he was like, that doesn't matter. Let's jump on Zoom. And basically it was one-on-one, and he pretty much redictated the entire lecture to just me and answered all my personal questions. And it was so generous and really, like humane of him to see me and meet me where I was at and like help me as a person. And incredibly, despite the circumstances, that week I actually performed the best in the class on the midterm. So he like really made a difference. And they're just such kind people. The faculty are incredible. So yeah, shout out Fred, love Fred Northrup. And obviously all the faculty, but he and I especially.
Yeah, I think your story, Greta, gets at something that I really love about Northwestern, which is that I feel like it has all of the resources of this extremely prestigious research institution, while at the same time kind of maintaining this really close-knit small community feel. I think that's something that's really unique amongst institutions. It's something I've found as a staff member, but also as a graduate student, and really lovely story for you to share. I know we're approaching the end of our time here. I want to be mindful of everyone's time on the panel. I want to share, if you posed a question in the chat that we weren't able to get to, you are welcome to search on our website and find the regional contact information for your admission counselor. We are more than happy to respond to your questions or put you in touch with the resources who'd be best equipped to answer those. But I do just want to close. I guess I have one last question for the staff and then one last question for the students. And starting with Felicia and Nancy, at the very beginning, I had asked the students to share just a little bit about why they chose Northwestern and what it is that attracted them there. And I guess I'd just love to pose the same question to you. Why have you chosen to work at Northwestern? What is it about the community and the work that you do? If you could just briefly sum up what it really means to you.
Yeah, I was in a different position at Northwestern before I came to HPA, and I really appreciate working at the Health Professions Advising Office. It is unique for us to have for a university to have such a robust health professions advising unit. There's many institutions that have just a professor, no offense to them, but just one person who's kind of overseeing the health professions and helping individuals on that path. So to be able to have that one-on-one relationship, to be with you for 5 years, 6 years, is just so exciting and really unique and really rare. We are also an office that's dedicated to improving equity and representation in the health professions, and that is the core of what we do. And that is also incredibly exciting to be just a small part of maybe helping the entire health professions path get just a little bit more equitable, a little bit more progressive.
Yeah, and I think it's the students on everything that Felicia said. Yes, ditto. and also just working with such wonderful students, because if you're drawn to the health professions, we feel like there is the sense of wanting to help others. And we're really excited to help you find out just exactly how do you want to help them, in what way, in what field. But there's always, it's so nice to work with such a smart group of students, but also such a kind group. And all the stories too about our faculty are here to support you as well. And it's really wonderful to work with such faculty and staff as that. So we're just really, I find being in health professions, you're really fortunate to be working with some really wonderful people, both students, faculty, and staff.
Thanks so much. And just to close us out, I think to just frame, who's on the call with us today. We had hundreds of people sign up, most of whom are prospective college students who are getting ready to put together their college applications. They may be a bit younger and kind of looking to think about where to apply in the future. So I'd love to close with the students. If you wouldn't mind just sharing one piece of advice, something you wish you knew, something you'd thought about when you were in their shoes a few years back, and something you maybe wish you'd known as you were going through the admission process going into pre-med.
I guess for me, my little sister is also applying to colleges now, and the one thing I talk to her and like through the preview that I tell people is like, don't like doubt yourself. And like, I have like this motto throughout high school, like fear is temporary, but regret is forever. And like, do everything you want to do. Don't like, my GPA is not like 4.0. I don't think I will be accepted to Northwestern or like all different school. And I feel like just do it. Like, as long as you show yourself, be true to you, stick to yourself. I did not know I was going to accept to Northwestern, to be honest, even though Northwestern was my #1 school. And here I am at Northwestern. So like, don't doubt yourself and like apply. It is okay. And like, even if you don't accept it, that means and you're not going to regret, like you're not going to live like with that what if. But just stick to yourself, be true to yourself. And yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. So me personally, and I know this is going to sound fake from someone who is pursuing a dual degree, but genuinely say yes to everything. Because I don't think I did that enough, particularly with like extracurriculars and programs that can like get you out there, just like explore everything, because 4 years feels like a long time, but as someone entering her 4th and final, it certainly isn't. So just take full advantage, and obviously the advising office is there for you the whole time plus some, but without that, just like do it all. Then you can find your limits, find out what you value and prioritize, and then you can start like scaling back a little bit and really curate like the best life and experience for you within and without Northwestern. It's just really important to do that kind of exploration of all kinds of like activities and clubs as soon as you can.
I'm just gonna say, like, take care of yourself. Like, really, you might be doing this right now, or you might be going through the application process, but once that ends, that's done, and there's still you. And you have to take care of yourself, and you have to make sure that you are doing what you want to be doing for the right reasons. And you need to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success by giving yourself the time, space, love you need in order to do well. Because Northwestern can be a challenging place academically. So you got to take care of yourself, and you got to know that even if things don't go the way that you want them to, there's still you, and you're still enough. You might get a no, you might not get what you want, you might not get into that class, you might not get a whatever, but there's still you, and you're still good enough. And I think that's something that we all need to remind ourselves sometimes, because I forget. So yeah.
It's wonderful. I'm going to have to start bringing Andre with me to group presentations when I go out and travel on the road. That's a wonderful, wonderful observation to close us with. But we are right at the top of the hour. We want to thank you all so much for taking the time out of your afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you are in the world, to take the time to meet with us today. I want to thank our panelists, Felicia and Nancy, as well as our students, Andre, Greta, and Beza. Really, really grateful for your insights and sharing just a little bit of advice and information about Northwestern. Really, again, cannot thank you enough. Hope everyone is having a really excellent summer, and we hope to see you on campus soon. Thank you so much, everybody.